Hey everybody, welcome to Game Mess Mornings presented by Deku Deals with me, Jeff Grubb, your host from giantbomb.com. Thank you for tuning in. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the price of the Steam Deck until Valve tells us what it is, and more reasons to expect the next-gen consoles to be even more expensive. Jan, I'm tired. It's going to be a good one because we do have Jan Ochoa on the show. Jan, how are you doing?
I'm also tired. I went to a restaurant last night thinking it may have been Hispanic because the name was Bodega. It was Vietnamese. Sure. I was very confused.
Yeah, listen, I think Bodega has been the good kind of culturally appropriated, where it's like it belongs to everyone now.
We're all the Bodega. Yeah. Soy Bodega.
yo, soy Bodega. Let's see. I got to the end of episode 6 in Dispatch this morning, Jan, and I was like, I did call the shot a little bit. I'm like, I'm going to miss this character when he's clearly going to die because holy shit, I could just tell it's going to happen, and it hurt. It still hurt quite a bit. I'm dealing with the ramifications of that right now on this show.
Well, I'm here to catch you in this tender moment, Grubb.
Appreciate it.
I'll just say, keep up.
Yep. Oh boy. Oh man. Hell yeah.
Yeah. I wish Dispatch came out a little bit earlier in the year so it could clean up at the Game Awards, because I definitely think it could and would, specifically in the voice actor category. No shade on anyone from Expedition 33. Fantastic voice cast, rightfully deserving all of the nominations. But I'd like to see other voice actors get their shine.
Yep. Totally. I think it'll clean up at the Real Game Awards here on Giant Bomb when we do ours. So keep an eye out for that, everybody. Yep. Okay. You know what? Let's just get into the show. I got quite a few news stories here. Nothing massive, but there's a bunch of them. So let's explain ourselves. We're Giant Bomb, video game doofuses. We do our fun stuff here on the internet as independent games media. We're out here on our own. No corporate backers. What do we have? We have you. When you went to giantbomb.com/join and became a premium member, you ensured the future of this and the fun stuff we do, the insightful stuff that we do, and creating a home base for you and conversations like these on the internet. So if you haven't done that and you want to join that party, go to giantbomb.com/join, become a premium member. We really appreciate everyone who has done so. Coming out of the Bombathon, the support was just outstanding. It was through the roof, and it made us confident that we're doing the right thing and we're going about things in the right way. Check out Jan's shirt right there. Yeah, there it is. There's the Bombathon, the hoodie. You can go get that store.giantbomb.com right now, actually, if you want to get hooked up with that. As far as this show goes, most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you're watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS feed on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. All right, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with, that conversation that's been popping off since last night. Steam Machine price. Here's another hint at what it could cost. This is from Eddie McCoo at GameSpot. One of the biggest unknowns about Valve's Steam machines is how much the cute little 6-inch cube will cost. Plenty of people have offered their thoughts about what the price may, or where the price may land. And now Linus Sebastian of Linus Tech Tips has shared what he says Valve told him during a recent meeting. On the WAN show, Linus said he had no idea what the Steam Machine price will be, but in speaking to Valve, he came away thinking the system won't be priced similarly to a new console. When I said, and this is a quote from him, I'm disappointed that it isn't going to follow a console pricing model where it's subsidized by the fact that the manufacturer is going to be taking 30% of every game sold on it over the lifespan of this thing, because I feel that would be a more meaningful product. They kind of asked what I meant by, well, what do you mean by console price? And I said $500. Nobody said anything. This is Linus continuing, but the energy of the room wasn't great. Of course, that's not a confirmation on anything. Also, I feel like a lot of these tidbits it's just reiterating things that we already knew or kind of conversed about. I think coming out of the gate, we were hearing this thing was going to be priced more along the lines of a PC than a console. But I think that's beginning to sink in with a lot of people now, Jan. It's like, oh, they're not going to do the $500 thing.
Yeah.
But I think there's still some people holding out hope that's going to be the case. But as we hear more and more, I become more and more confident that we're talking $600 at a minimum, and even then, it's going to be tough to pull off. Where do you think this thing is dead on arrival in terms of price? Like, if it's like over 800, or can they get away with even 800?
I I don't want to put this out into the universe, Grubb, that it could pull off being okay launching at 800, but I honestly think it could. I actually had a lot of friction with this quote and how it was framed up because Dan and I had a different day when we spent over at Valve, but we
you had similar conversations though. Yeah,
of course we had similar conversations. We left that out of the video just because I didn't feel like it would serve anyone, us or Valve. But thinking that this would come out at 500, especially when modern consoles now, in old Xbox, in old PS5 is no longer $500. I think it seems very misguided to assume that. And how much was the Steam Deck when it initially came out? Around four?
I think they started around $450 for the very base model. That's right. Yeah.
And if this is supposed to be 6 times more powerful than a regular Steam Deck, I can't imagine how it would make sense for this to be $500 at launch, even for the 512 gig model of the console. So I'm expecting between 600 to 800 for the 2 SKUs of memory that they're presenting. Any more than 800, 850 is absolutely pushing it. What I think they could get away with.
Yeah, I think there's 2 things happening here. One is like there's when people say console price, they are still anchored to an old price that doesn't exist anymore. You're right. That $500. I'm a little surprised to see Linus saying that's a console price. It isn't. I mean, the Switch 2's out there. It's just under that price, I suppose, but that's not what anyone's talking about. The PlayStation 5, the Xbox Series X are more than $500 now. And then I think it also just shows the challenge that those companies, Microsoft and Sony, are going to face when their next gen systems come out and are more than that. And they're going to be like, people are like, no, console's supposed to be no more than $500. Well, they're going to have to deal with that when the time comes. We'll get into that a little bit with the next story.
Yeah.
So for me, the anchor point for this thing was never around 500. It was around 600-ish though. And again, that's the bare minimum in my mind.
Yeah.
So it's like when we start piecing together like some of the other factors here, and I think Linus brought this up himself, but it's something we talked about when we first had a conversation, Jan. I think when you came on the show right after you were able to talk about it, it's like, hey, when they sell these things, they're probably not going to be able to do the full subsidy thing, because if they subsidize the cost of this PC, then it would be in a situation where organizations would be like, there's the cheap office PC we can get. And sure it's Linux, but we could install Windows on there if we wanted to. And so we're just going to get 1,000 of those and put them in our offices. And quickly that begins to add up of like, oh, now basically Valve is paying these companies to put computers in their office that they're never going to purchase games for. Yeah. So it's like they kind of have to like balance it out and find an equilibrium between like, it can't be too expensive, but we can't actually be subsidizing the cost of this thing, because otherwise we'd have to come up with some solution where it's like you have to sign into Steam and you could buy one system per account, and that seems like a headache as well. So there's other things happening here.
And the other aspect that Linus brings up, that it is Valve, it is Steam controlling the store and the interface that is on the Steam machine. I think that is undercutting the fact that PC games on Steam go on sale all the time versus what you will be paying digitally on consoles. When we did the Deku Deal stream yesterday, I was looking at some of the prices of the console exclusive games. Some of those have been out since 2020 and have not gone down in price. Yet you look at a game that's available on Steam, and games from even this year, maybe even a couple months ago, not dramatically reduced, but are on sale and are much more consumer friendly versus like trying to find anything on like the Xbox store or the PlayStation store. I mean, that's also discounting Game Pass, but fuck Game Pass.
Yep. So when this thing does come out, I think the reason they're not talking about price at all is they don't really know. Of course, they have a range. But I think they will be able to like still convince a lot of people that at like $650 to $750, this thing's still worth it. And then, you know, I think we're here when we're talking about that, we're talking about the 500 gigabyte storage model.
Yeah.
Whatever, you know, they'll put probably a premium price on the 2 terabyte model because they can, and the thing's expandable in terms of storage anyhow if you want to just do that on your own. So if you want to just pay Valve to do it, they're going to probably charge you a little bit extra. I think this thing will work just fine in that price range. It's not like, maybe it's not some revolution for PC gaming if it costs that much, but I do think it's like, it doesn't hurt the establishment of SteamOS as an alternative to Windows.
No.
And it's like a good start. And as they go forward, they can maybe get a more aggressive on the pricing in the future, kind of see how things go, see what adoption is like, and adjust from there. But the way costs are going for the components in these PCs, in all PCs, it's very unlikely that they're going to come out with a super aggressive price. I think people are like, hey, if this thing's $450, it's lights out. Everything else needs to watch out. This will be like a game changer. It's like that. It's just not in the cards, right?
Yeah, based off of also the conversations that Dan and I had at Valve, and this isn't just about the Steam machine. I'm also including the Steam frame and the Steam controller. I think Valve recognizes that they are kind of in their own lane with these specific products. And yes, there are other VR helmets out there. Of course, there's a million different controllers Bluetooth controllers you can plug into whatever. But I think with how Valve's approach is, they're doing this for their platform, and they're doing what they think they themselves need. Now they're starting to see themselves as like a hardware platform as well, but from conversations with them, they do not have the same pressures that the big consoles have on them to constantly iterate or make a new SKU every year. Like they're not, I don't see Valve getting to the point where they're going to make a Steam Machine Pro. Like the Steam Deck OLED is an improvement because it's a better screen, because they wanted a better screen. If they wanted the Steam Machine in a couple years to be taller and like, you know what, Cube, not that great for
Cube's out. Yeah.
Cube's out. Let's get a rectangle. Stuff like that. So I feel like Valve is not necessarily, yes, they're probably stressing out about like the price of everything, but I don't see them thinking about PlayStation and Xbox in the same way that everyone else is kind of framing the conversation.
Yeah, I had even started thinking about, it's like, oh yeah, what is the upgrade path? What does the roadmap look like for future iterations of this? It's like, because they could, there's a world where it's like, here's the 2027 Steam machine. Here's the 2028 Steam machine. I think you're right that they won't do that. But that's probably something that they talked about and considered at some point. And it's like, yeah, no, I think there's some value in the stability that Valve is providing by saying we are building these hardware platforms that you can feel good about getting because we are going to support them for a long time. And therefore, all these other developers are going to begin supporting them. The support for Steam Deck gets better all the time from big new releases. Outer Worlds 2 ran great on there. There's several recent major releases that I was expecting to run like dog shit on the Steam Deck that have run really well. And it's been surprising. It's like, oh no, it's just like everyone's optimizing for this thing because they see the value in supporting it. Even if it's older and it causes some other headaches, they don't care. They know it's worth it. There is the trump card here. There is the possibility for them to pull out. Yeah, I know. God, we got to get a new word for that. The ace up their sleeve is Half-Life 3, where it's like maybe they go ahead and they're like, okay, we'll have this console announcement or this PC announcement, hardware stuff. We'll kind of see how people are feeling. We'll kind of come up with a price idea for the hardware. Maybe we'll announce the price, or maybe we'll just announce Half-Life 3, and so much excitement will happen. And the people who just want to get that for their already existing hardware will do that. And maybe the hype will be so massive that people who are on the fence because of the eventual price of the Steam machine will be like, well, I don't want to miss out on this massive thing that is going to shift the industry. I'm going to get the Steam machine to play Half-Life 3. Do you think they could like play the card that way?
100%, Grubb. 100% they could. What was the package that they put out on console? The orange
box. Yeah, the orange box.
This is a new box, Grubb.
Yeah.
And that box introduced so many people to Team Fortress 2, so many people to Portal, where I think arguably for some people, Portal in their minds is bigger than Half-Life, or at least has a more real estate in their heads. I know for me personally, I'm more of a Portal fan than I am a Half-Life fan, but at this point, I want Half-Life 3 just so people like Mikey out there can just be satisfied, and so we can also stop with the memes.
Yeah, it's got to end. Yeah, that could be the Marino says the $3 could just be Half-Life 3, Portal 3, Team Fortress 3. Put it all in one box, and there you go.
I am not ready for a world where we actually have a Team Fortress 3, and it's something that's really cool. I spent too much time, Grubb, playing Team Fortress 2 on a shitty MacBook Pro and just dealing with all of like the hardware limitations and adapting to that, where I became too good.
Yep. Yeah, the left 3 dead as well. Chat keeps saying that would be fantastic. We'll see. I don't feel like we're like getting a price imminently from Valve. It feels like something that happens early next year, maybe.
I also don't see them needing to release the price, or announcing the price, I should say, this year. Also, I feel like there's enough positive energy in the room with people being excited about the Steam frame, the Steam machine, and the Steam controller. Again, I cannot emphasize enough that when Dan and I rolled up to that appointment, I just thought, oh, Steam controller, cool. And then the more that I've started to marinate on it, and the more I see the internet marinate on it, I think people are super duper excited about that, almost more than the VR headset.
Yeah, I think the Xbox controller status as the default PC controller is in a little bit of jeopardy here. I think that'll be, I think that could be replaced by this thing. And that I think I would welcome that, because it seems like there's going to be a lot of extra fun features that I would like every game to sort of have, like when you go to PC, to consider, including the trackpads, including the touch grips and the gyros and all that stuff, which a lot of that stuff is in the Xbox controller, but I think if every Steam controller has these things and becomes the number one controller, that'd be great. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I would welcome it personally. All right, so we don't know the price of the Steam Deck. We don't know the price of any of the Valve hardware. We do know the reasons why it could be a little bit higher RAM cost, all these other things. Of course, that is also affecting other components in various ways, including AMD. This next headline: AMD is powering every next-gen console, and its GPUs are about to get even more expensive. This comes from Claire Jackson at Kotaku. Fans of AMD's GPUs, which are typically more cost-effective than those made by NVIDIA, might be in for some sticker shock in the near future. Team Red is likely to start raising the price of its goods, and unfortunately, there's a chance this will affect more than just your graphics card. As reported by Video Cards, AMD has informed its partners of an impending price hike for its GPUs. Last month, the company reportedly adjusted prices for its corporate partners to reflect changes in the market, though it managed to save retail customers from the shift. This time around, however, retail prices are likely to get hit. The culprit? Well, if you've been paying attention to the price fluctuation of computer components, you already know. The cost of DRAM components, which provide the memory for computers and other electronics, is going up as the AI industry wolfs down the earth. And if you're familiar with what goes inside consoles like PS5 and Xbox Series machines, or even the upcoming Steam machine, then you know the AMD chips power those as well. Retail prices haven't gone up just yet, but the prospect is frustrating and likely. Yeah, so again, let's just go over what's happening with memory costs. AI has created massive demand for memory chips and memory components from Micron and Samsung and SK Hynix, and those companies are like, okay, these are the richest bidders, and they are coming to us frequently with massive orders. We are going to serve them first. And AI chips are using high bandwidth memory, HBM, which is not going into GPUs, but because these companies are so focused on upgrading the tech for that, they are leaving behind traditional DDR5 and DDR4 memory, and so those components, or DDR6 stuff that would go into GPUs or go into the memory slots in your motherboard, they are kind of staying stagnant. But demand for those is also going up, just not as much and not as cost effective as far as these companies are concerned. So they are not putting their efforts into upgrading their manufacturing processes for these older memory units. So as the demand goes up and these companies do not pay attention to that, obviously prices have gone up quite a bit, and really they've skyrocketed. You can probably get like a 8 gigabyte stick of RAM for $30 a few months ago, and now it's $60 to $75 for that same exact stick of RAM. That stuff all needs to go into GPUs, and it's not just like the $30 stick of 8 gigabytes of RAM. They do need super fast memory, not maybe not high bandwidth memory, although some GPUs have used that before. They need like GDR6 and GDR6 X and stuff like that, really fast memory, and that stuff was already very expensive, and now it's going to be even more expensive. And that's just like the problem right now. There could be other issues at any moment, and there's been a lot of recent problems with sourcing components that have caused these companies to raise prices, or they've used this as excuses to raise prices in the recent past. So we were already at a point where they were charging more, and now I think they're going to use this as an inflection point to raise prices even higher. This is going to have a knock-on effect for the PlayStation 6, the Xbox 2, Xbox Series X2, or whatever it is, and certainly the Steam machine. We're already at a point where the consoles have gone up in price a bunch of times, Jan. Should we be bracing for $1,000 consoles, like 4-digit console prices?
I think at this point, Grubb, I just can't justify spending $1,000 on a console when at this point I have a powerful PC, and I recognize that we are in a different position than most gamers out there. But I feel like with how technology and how prices are increasing, there has to come a point where the consumer that is primarily playing on consoles just also has to adapt to the market and evolve past just getting the new PlayStation or the new Xbox, because it is not consumer friendly at this point. You were getting nickel and dimed, and
yes,
I know that we briefly talked about how video games go on sale on Steam and PC. There's so many bundles. Go to DekuDeals.com, and you can make a list and save yourself some money on games. But also, you have to pay a annual fee to play multiplayer games on PlayStation, on Xbox, I believe, still. And you don't have to do that on the PC. God forbid you have to in a certain game, but maybe it's just an MMO at that point. Grubb, you may have to educate me here. Why is it that AMD seems like they have the corner of the market here? Is there not another manufacturer out there that can kind of like also compete in this space?
Not really. So the thing with AMD is they produce both CPUs and GPUs. So they can, in a cost-effective way, produce APUs that combine a GPU and a CPU onto one system on a chip. That is cost-effective. It's energy efficient. It's all the stuff the consoles really want. Interestingly, the Steam Machine, not going that route. Although they're using AMD, they are using discrete CPUs and GPUs. So it'll be two different things in there. But it's a PC at its heart. So I guess it's not shocking, but they used the system on a chip from AMD for the Steam Deck. So it's a little bit surprising. NVIDIA, they use like a mobile processor that they started making a long time for phones and then tablets and like the little handheld gamepad thing that had a screen on it. They worked on that stuff a long time ago, and they've been continuing that pathway. And that's an ARM-based processor, and that's what Switch uses is the ARM-based processor from NVIDIA. Not really an option for the consoles or the PC yet, because that's all x86 architecture, classic, basically IBM compatible. Like the 4004 Intel processor has continued all this time, and they're still on that same architecture basically, and they can't abandon it without having a bunch of work done, and they're not ready for that yet. So the one other option that could happen in the future, at least for now, is NVIDIA and Intel did get into bed recently, and it's like, in that situation, you could see Intel providing the CPU NVIDIA providing the GPU, they begin building systems on a chips together. That's not ready yet, though. That's something that just happened. We are years away from that being a viable alternative at the high end that these consoles and potential PCs are playing in, against AMD. So yes, AMD is basically the only game in town for this. So that, the good news there, or the good news that has been there in the past, is that AMD has felt the price pressure to keep their prices low because their stuff is just not quite as good as NVIDIA. And for a while there, wasn't quite as good as Intel, although they've been outpacing Intel on CPUs for the last several years. But AMD's traditionally been like, we are not going to be the most expensive thing. We're going to be expensive, but we're not going to be like 45% more expensive than you would think. And so they've been able to build these long-term partnerships and say, we're going to make it up in volume. We're going to make it up in making chips for this console for the next 20 years, or for the various consoles from this company for the next 20 years. And that's enabled them to not charge an arm and a leg, but now they're just facing pressures they can't get around in terms of the memory pricing and stuff like that.
The other aspect that you brought up about this story, Grubb, is the whole AI factor of it.
Yeah.
Hey, I know that the Giant Bomb audience is wide and vast. The likelihood that there is some type of elected official out there listening to this program, I urge you, I implore you, do not fucking bail AI companies out of this shit. They made this mess. They put us all into it. Do not give them the fucking ladder that they think they deserve. Instead,
you'll be your asses if you do that. I hope they realize that. We already saw it once in 2008, and everything that's happened since then, the populist movement, every terrible thing that's happened in politics can be traced back to the bailout, and then no one going to jail for manipulating and lying and cheating and doing several illegal things that obviously should have cost everyone their freedom, that was involved in building up that the synthetic CDO market back then. Someone should have gone to jail. No one did, and everyone got bailed out. And if the same thing happens this time, which, who knows if anyone's done anything illegal, certainly feels like you could probably find someone who has. But if the bailout happens, it'll be, it's like the end. There will be riots. It'll be the end. You can't do this. So yeah, you're absolutely right about that.
Hey, I saw Mamdani was watching AEW. The crossover, or the breadcrumb trail, it's very short to go from watching professional wrestling to watching Giant Bomb. So Mom, Daddy, if you out there, congratulations.
Yep. We love you, bud. All right. Let's continue here. And by continue, I mean, let's take a break. We're going to go to our sponsor. Before we do that, though, if you want to skip out on these, we put out an ad-free version of the video show and an ad-free version of the audio show that you can get by going to giantbomb.com/join. If you want to skip out on these ads, go do that. We'll be right back. Jan, you taught me to overcome my fear of sharp objects. I want to teach you how to overcome your fear of saving money.
No, I don't wanna. I will only ever pay the manufactured suggested retail price.
Stop. You don't have to live this way, because now there's Deku Deals.
The double D?
That's right. Deku Deals is the best way to find deals on any major gaming platform or store.
I don't want no bunk out-of-date coupon code, Grubb.
It's nothing like that. Deku Deals has both the hottest and the freshest deals updated constantly. It's also just added Steam support with a super simple page to find bundles for Steam code.
Ooh, I just found the Mist and Riven Complete collection for $8 on Humble using Deku Deals right now.
I also use Deku Deals to build and add and share wish list. You can even use it to keep track of your collection.
You know what? I think we should all build some lists and host them on DekuDeals.com/giantbomb.
And if listeners go to DekuDeals.com/giantbomb, they can vote to make us play a game on the November 21st episode of Unprofessional Fridays.
Learn more at DekuDeals.com/giantbomb.
I love Arabic numerals. I don't care what anyone says. It's Game Best Mornings. Jan Ochoa, Jeff Grubb. We're back. Next story. Let's get to it. Battlefield 6's first month sales were higher than any game since 2022 in the U.S. This is from Eddie McCoo at GameSpot. Battlefield 6 launched on October 10th and didn't need much time to become 2025's best-selling game overall in the U.S. based on dollar sales. Circana released its latest monthly report today, confirming that Battlefield 6 was October 2025's number one best-selling game, and after just 3 weeks on sale, became the number one best-selling game of 2025 for physical and digital sales. Battlefield 6 is also the number one best-selling game on Xbox and PC charts for 2025, while it ranks number two for 2025 on PlayStation. That's second only to NBA 2K26. EA's new Battlefield game also became the best-selling game in the Battlefield franchise history in the U.S. for its first month. 2018's Battlefield 1 was the previous record holder, and in fact, the first month sales of volume for Battlefield 6 has surpassed the lifetime sales of Battlefield 1. That's pretty nuts stuff. Let's see, I'll continue here. Outside of the Battlefield franchise, Circana confirmed that Battlefield 6 had the highest 1 month US and physical full game dollar sales for any game in the past 3 years. Not since 2022's Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 did any game generate more first month physical and digital full game dollar sales. I think that has to mean, because there's no way Black Ops 6 is doing as well, or 7, whatever it is. I can't even keep track of it. Yeah, is doing as well as 6 or those Modern Warfare games. So I think we safely assume Battlefield is selling faster, or at least making more money than Call of Duty this year. So it happened. They did it.
Yeah, Grubb, and I think deservedly so. Battlefield 6 seems to have pleased not just that core Battlefield audience, but the folks that also flock to first-person shooters that may have been tired or weary of only ever playing Call of Duty. And then for Black Ops 7 to to release in the state that it's in. People that like that genre of games deserve good games. And I'm glad that they have Battlefield 6, which feels like it has been years and years in the making. And finally, like a win for the Battlefield franchise after eating dirt for so long.
Yeah, it's like a little bit funny. It's like that this game is doing so well, and yet also I don't hear anyone really talking about that free-to-play Battle Royale mode. It kind of came out, and Art Graders seem to eat every other game's lunch on that side of things.
Yeah.
But hey, this game's making a ton of money, and I think that they are going to be okay with the core game doing very, very, extremely well, and that'll give them some runway to figure out whatever they need to do to juice the numbers for the free-to-play side of things. There's some other tidbits from Matt Piscatella. I'm just going to go through his Blue Sky here real quick about posting about the October report. Jan, there were, there were 9 games, I think, here that sold 1 copy in October. Do you want to hear what they are?
1 copy?
Yes, yeah, because this, just to let people know, Circana, formerly the NPD group, I believe they're integrated on point of sale systems at retailers. That's how they're able to track these numbers so accurately. Digital is a little bit more complicated for them, sure. But for the physical sales, they just know what each store is selling. So let's see here. It was an Xbox 360 game. 1 copy was Burnout Paradise. Paradise sold 1 copy. 1 copy of Carnival Games Wild West 3D for the 3DS sold.
That's a cry for help.
1 copy of Incredibles 2 Rise of the Underminer for the Game Boy Advance sold in October. Is that the oldest game on this? I think it might be. Let's see here. PC, 1 copy of Spore sold. 1 copy of Backyard Baseball for PS2. Oh my God, that might be the oldest. That's crazy. One copy of Hasbro Family Game Night 3 for the PS3. 1 copy of Cooking Mama Cookstar for the PS4, and then 1 copy of Ultra Bust-A-Move for the Xbox Series X. Or maybe that's the Xbox One X. I can't tell anymore. But yeah, there you go. Fun stuff.
Grubb, sometimes I wonder what it would be like to live on the other side of the fence again and not be playing the most up-to-date, newest, hottest games and just playing at my own leisure. I just can't imagine buying The Incredibles 2 for the Game Boy Advance in the year 2025.
And it's I always want to know the story. Is it like, it's probably not even a retailer that specializes in this stuff. It's probably like old stock that gets moved around to like various like discount stores. Like you find a copy at TJ Maxx or something, and it's like, I'm gonna get this Game Boy Advance game, or it's just been sitting in a Sam's Club for 55 years. Yeah, fun stuff. Battlefield 6 was obviously the #1 selling game of the month. Pokemon Legends ZA without digital sales was #2, so physical only for that, just that SKU, just that game. Ghost of Yotei was #3. NBA 2K26 was #4. Then it's EA Sports FC 2026, Madden NFL 26. Man, the sports games like always, but still. Then #7 was The Outer Worlds 2, and #8 was Little Nightmares 3. Outer Worlds 2, of course, you can get that on Game Pass. That's always gonna put a dent in the armor there when it tries to sell for its first month. And then we finish out the top 10 with Digimon Story Time Stranger at #9 and Borderlands 4, last month's #1, now at #10. And #11, another new game, Ninja Gaiden 4. So yeah, and that's a Game Pass game as well.
Grub, for as big of a year as this has been for releases, I can't believe that I've completely forgotten about Outer Worlds 2, not Battlefield, Borderlands 4, and then Ninja Gaiden 4.
Yeah.
I know it's a busy year, but for those big games, it is wild that is just past me.
Yep, it's kind of exactly. I feel the same way. It's like I was gonna make time for those games. I didn't right in that moment, and it's like, well, I'll get back to them. And it's like, no, like 5 things happen right after there that completely push those things out of my mind. For the year, Battlefield 6, yep, #1 game for the year so far. Then it's NBA. Monster Hunter Wilds is still at #3. Was previously at #2. Borderlands 4 at #4, and then EA Sports College Football 26 at #5. Oblivion Remastered at #6. Man, that game did really, really well. And then last year's Call of Duty Black Ops 6 is #7. Wow. Then Madden, then MLB The Show 25, and Ghost of Yotei at #10.
Oh,
so that moved up the chart. It was 18 in the previous month, so it's moving up.
That's great to hear for Ghost of Yotei. Take that, online chuds.
Yep, yeah, of course that game's going to do well. They just have taken L after L. Those idiots. It's like all the stuff that they've been rallying against has continued to like just really do very well.
It is also just like misinformed calculus of a lot of people will come to have and do come to the PlayStation platform as a whole for that AAA single player video game, and that is what Ghost of Yotei is. That's what Tsushima was, and
right.
People just love samurai.
Yep, you can't like that stuff is not a dime a dozen. Like you get those when they come because you're right. There's not a lot of options at that very high end of the market. As far as hardware goes, video game hardware spending in October grew 36% compared to a year ago. Obviously, the Switch 2 was the big generator there. It was $351 million for the month. The Switch 2 offset declines across the Switch 1, which was down 52% versus a year ago. Xbox Series down 37% compared to a year ago, and PlayStation 5 down 22% compared to a year ago. Nintendo Switch 2 sold 328,000 units in October. Wow, we usually don't get numbers like that. It is 68% ahead of the sales pace set by the original Switch, and is still 3% ahead of the PlayStation 4's previous record velocity. Of course, as always worth pointing out, Switch 2 readily available. The supply has met demand, and that's one of the things that's helping it out quite a bit here. But the fact that it's continued to stay quite a bit ahead of the PS4 shows that people are continuing to show up for it. Let's see here. Okay, yeah, well, this is worth talking about. October spending on Asus PC portable hardware devices increased by 4.8x compared to a year ago, and it's now 30% higher year to date. That would include the Roger Ally Xbox version. So, yeah, that probably seems like that really juiced the number. And that thing's very expensive. So, of course, that was going to have an effect on that. Let's see here. Anything? He mentioned some stuff from Battlefield 6, but we talked about that. Let's do this Pokemon Legends ZA one. Ranked 2nd overall during October and was the month's best-selling game. It launched as 2025's best-selling physical game year to date. So more people picked up the physical version of that than any other game so far this year. Ghost of Yotei was October's #3 best-selling game overall, and currently ranks 10th. We talked about that. Ghost of Yotei is 3rd on the PlayStation year-to-date best-selling titles chart, behind only NBA 2K26 and Battlefield 6. And then I'll do let's see. Does he have the thing for accessories? Usually he posts that, but I'm not seeing it here. So we'll skip out on that. All right. Yeah, Switch 2 seems like it's doing well. A lot of games are popping off at the high end. People are still buying video games, Jan, right? Like, I think we look around and it's been a nightmare for games getting canceled, for studios losing people, they're getting laid off. We'll talk about some of that later. And it's just like, yeah, okay. But then we compare that to the spending, and it's like, people are still there. This is a very, very vibrant hobby with a lot of people spending a lot of money on these things. It's like, why just can't we square that circle? Why does it always have to break down somewhere?
Yeah, I think about the quote, or I quote, and I'm paraphrasing here, and I'm probably paraphrasing someone paraphrasing, but for Xbox to think that their biggest competitor is short form video,
Yeah, that's right.
I understand the concern there, but if that is if that is what you're worrying about, then just make video games.
Yep.
Will capture people's attention. Like, for instance, Grubb, Slots and Daggers, it just gives that hit of dopamine, and that is just me clicking a button, looking at the slot machine to go, and like the numbers. Also, there's the hottest competitive esport right now, Queue Up. That has captured so much of my attention, and I don't want to talk about how much I've played of that.
Hell yeah. Well, you're our esports star, Jan. So listen, you gotta focus. We gotta let you practice, of course. Man, Verizon just cut 13,000 jobs, 13% of its workforce. So here we are again. Let's go fucking again. Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade's file size on Switch 2 is making us sweat. This is, I believe, the largest game in terms of storage size that will have been released on the Switch 2 so far. As stated on X, the file size for the standard edition will be 90 to 95 gigabytes. Meanwhile, the limited early purchase edition will be 93.8 gigabytes to 99 gigabytes. A standard Switch game, like if you take everything into consideration, somewhere between 25 to 50 gigabytes, if we're talking about big, full AAA games. That's massive. It's also, I think, 40% or like 45% of the total storage that the Switch 2 has. It's like, oh man, okay. Well, I know that's a big game. And I guess some people will just be like, well, now it's time to get one of those SD Express cards, right?
Yeah, at the same time, Grubb, I think maybe there's a couple things they could optimize or cut out, leave out to just make sure the game fits on the cart and is not gonna fill up a whole SD card that I already have everything on, and I don't want to be bothered to buy another one, Grubb.
Yep. No, I got the 256 gigabyte version. I will upgrade eventually. I don't want to upgrade in the first year.
Yeah.
So we'll see. That's rough. I'm trying to see some other. Split Fiction was 73 gigabytes. That's pretty sizable. Cyberpunk was 60 gigabytes. Yakuza 0 Director's Cut was 54 gigabytes. So we've had large games, but almost 100 gigabytes for one game with Final Fantasy VII Remake. And that's Remake. I guess, when I was saying that's like, I know it's a big game, I was thinking of Rebirth. So how big is Rebirth going to be when it hits the Switch 2? It's going to be massive.
Gonna have to switch carts, Grubb.
Yeah, okay. If it comes on multiple cards, I would love that. That'd be fun. Of course, they're not going to do that. They're going to do a game key card. But just be brave and do something cool for once, Square Enix.
That would be so sick. Square Enix, you're not listening, but you should.
Yeah, you should. You really should be. We could help you out. If you listen to the show, a lot of your problems would be solved.
Hey, make a watch.
Oh, good.
I don't know how it'll help you, but actually, someone out there has a Final Fantasy Spirits Within watch, and I've wanted that my whole life. I'm not saying give it to me, but just let me look at it.
Give it to him.
Let me look at it, Square.
Nearly half of U.S. kids surveyed want in-game currency this Christmas. That's the story. It's 43% say that they want digital currency. This is from the ESA. They talked to 700 children between ages 5 and 17. This is where we're at, Jan. I get it. I have kids. I know how this happens. It also made me realize if we wanted to sort of stop this progression towards these games like Fortnite and Roblox becoming platforms, one thing we could do is make it illegal to have an in-game currency. If you want to buy something in a game, you have to use the currency we already have called dollars or whatever your country uses. Just direct purchases. I think that would be, I can't see a reason not to do that other than the obfuscation, makes it easier for people in their head to purchase stuff, or they can do the thing where it's like, no, you got to get the in-game currency, and this thing costs 800, but we only sell it in packs of 1,000. Oh, aren't we stinkers? Oh, well, maybe you'll just use that 200 on something else later. And it keeps you in their cycle of like, now I have 200, that thing's only 300. I guess I'll buy another pack. All that just sounds like dark patterns and manipulation. And I know it's been like floated before. I want it real bad. I want that to happen because I'm becoming more and more of a scared old man about the future and these games sort of sucking all of the air out of the room when everything is just happening inside of Fortnite.
Grubb, I had hope. I had faith in these kids. With these kids and the two numbers that they're fixated with, whatever happened to good old laughing and giggling and saying nice at 69? Now they're just saying 6-7 and they don't even know what it means.
It doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't mean anything. And just like these fake in-game currencies don't mean anything. Go,
Emmy,
please.
Emmy was saying she wants to change her online name to something like it's blank blank 6-7. She wants to add 6-7 to the end. So that's my life now. Let's keep going here. Ys 10 Proud Nordics launches February 20th, 2026 in the West. It's no Lacrimosa of Dana, so I don't know if Dan's going to be excited, but Proud Nordics, which this has been out in Japan. I was like, didn't that game came out? It was out in Japan. Now it's coming out in the West. This comes from Sal Romano at Gamatsu. Ys 10 Proud Nordics will launch for PlayStation 5, Switch 2, and PC via Steam on February 20th, 2026 in the West. Publisher NIS America announced. That's coming. I've never really played much of a Ys game, but I know people like these, and here it is. You ever try any of them?
Grubb, it's taking all of my willpower to not say what I want to say anytime someone says
I understand.
Ys.
I know. It's a disease.
But as a fan of JRPGs, the Ys series has never quite caught my attention.
Yeah, I kind of want to go back to some of the older ones where they had the bump action gameplay where you attacked things by bumping into them. They don't do that anymore. I just really like the term bump action. It sounds like some made up bullshit by the community, but apparently that's what they really called it. Ys 10 Proud Nordics out February 20th. This interesting story about like, hey, where did all those Nintendo Switch 2 upgrades early in the life of the Nintendo Switch 2? Where'd those come from? Did Nintendo do those? Did they spend time doing those themselves? No. Texas-based developer hired by Nintendo for Nintendo Switch 2 games says they were honored to be selected. This comes from Jordan Midler at VGC. Texas-based developer Panic Button has announced that it was selected by Nintendo to develop the Nintendo Switch 2 updates for several first-party Nintendo games. At the launch of the Nintendo Switch 2, several Nintendo Switch titles were given updates to improve performance on the new console, which weren't as extensive as the Nintendo Switch 2 edition upgrades for the likes of Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, and others. Now, speaking on social media, U.S. developer Panic Button has claimed responsibility for 4 of the games. Panic Button was honored to be selected by Nintendo to help update marquee games from the Nintendo Switch library. A post reads, accompanied by an image of Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, Super Mario Odyssey, Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, and ARMS. Nintendo asked us to help demonstrate new capabilities of the Switch 2 system while remaining faithful to the original games. Mostly I included this story just to point out, Nintendo is doing the thing that they said they were going to do, which is reach out to other companies they haven't traditionally worked with and start building new partnerships to see if they can get more stuff done. This isn't like them necessarily going out and purchasing a studio to start making brand new games, but I do think this is a pretty smart way for them to use resources in a way where it's like, we have money, let's pay this studio that we already know is very good at working with our hardware to do that for the Switch 2. And that's going to pay dividends. Not only did they get all this stuff done and out of the way, and Nintendo didn't have to do it themselves, but also they very quickly got Panic Button, an important studio for Nintendo Switch ports, and now probably Nintendo Switch 2 ports, up to speed on the new hardware so that company could hit the ground running and begin working with like third-party companies to get their games on the Switch too. So I think this is a pretty interesting move. We should expect Nintendo to do more of this, right? They feel like they're opening up to the possibility of working with more companies in a real way.
Yeah, I think we saw the original inclinations of this with, gosh, what is the Zelda rhythm-ish games? I'm blanking out on it.
Necrodancer.
Yes, Crypt of the Necrodancer, Hyrule something. I thought that was very neat, and I was kind of bummed out.
Danny B did the music. Shouts out to Danny B.
I was bummed out when that was kind of the last things we saw of that. Cadence of Hyrule. Thank you, everyone.
Yep.
But seeing and hearing that they are working with an external studio to help juice up the performance on the Switch 2 sounds cool. It's great. It feels like Nintendo, and seeing Nintendo being open to Hollywood again, it feels like Nintendo is that shy kid that is finally coming out of their shell, Grubb.
Yeah, right. They're like gaining confidence. They're like starting conversations themselves.
Yeah, they're like, you know what? Maybe I will coat myself in the goat sauce.
I think it's just the way everyone has to live, coated with the goat sauce. All right, we have a lot to get through, so let's keep going here. Fortnite's Tarantino season will include a previously unfilmed Kill Bill short. This is from Jordan Midler at VGC. It's a little confusing. It makes it sound like they filmed something new, but I don't think that's what's happening. An unfilmed scene from the Kill Bill series is seemingly being released as part of Fortnite. The lost chapter, Yuki's Revenge, will feature as part of the game's next season, which is themed after the Kill Bill duology. The news was announced by Kill Bill director Quentin Tarantino and star Uma Thurman at a Fortnite event in Hollywood, California on Wednesday. The new season of Fortnite will launch on November 30th, replacing the current Simpsons-themed season. The Kill Bill theme... It's so funny because Mike loves The Simpsons and he hates Kill Bill, so his playtime for that's just going to fall off a cliff. He did unlock Homer, everybody, so good for him. The Kill Bill themed season of Fortnite is being released to celebrate Kill Bill, The Whole Bloody Affair, which is coming to cinemas in December, which combines the two parts into one movie. Yuki's Revenge likely refers to a lost scene from the original films, which has been previously mentioned by Tarantino in various interviews. The scene would have followed Yuki, who is featured on the poster released on the for the Fortnite mode, hunting down the bride, Uma Thurman, to avenge her sister, Gogo Yubari, who was killed by Thurman's character in the film. The scene was ultimately unfilmed due to pacing issues, according to Tarantino. Fortnite Chapter 7 is set to launch on November 30th after the current Simpsons mission, blah, blah, blah. They don't say it here, but I think it's not like they filmed something new. It doesn't even sound like they are like using Unreal Engine to animate this stuff. It sounds like what's happening here is the ideas and the concepts that was going to be in Yuki's Revenge are going to be like the themes and the tasks and the quests that you get as part of this season. Like you are going through Yuki's Revenge, I guess. I don't know. We'll get more soon. But boy, this is one of the weirdest partnerships Fortnite's ever done.
Yeah. While you're reading this whole story, Grubb, and I saw folks attending this event in Hollywood, I'm just left wondering why. Like Simpsons is huge, right? Disney wanting to and Disney's in bed with Epic, so it makes sense for them to want to juice that. Epic, there was that Disney Parks map on Fortnite that released like a couple of weeks ago. So all of that synergy makes sense because there's existing synergy there. This makes me wonder, I don't know, does Quentin Tarantino have kids and his kids play Fortnite?
I mean, I think what happens here is Quentin Tarantino wants to do The Whole Bloody Affair. And so he's making that, and the movie studios behind him are like, okay, great. How do we get the maximum number of people interested in coming to check this out? That movie is relatively old now. Sure, the old heads will show up for it. How do we let the youngins know and maybe get excited and like begin to recognize Kill Bill when they see it on posters, that it's something they should be interested in? And then you go pay Epic a lot of money, basically, to advertise your movie. I mean, I guess there's a chance that Epic's like, we want to work with you. We think this is cool. And it's like an exchange. But to me, this feels like using the power of Fortnite to introduce something to an audience that otherwise would not care about this thing. I think that's probably what happened here.
That being said, this is probably another skin pack or season I'm not going to have the most interest in. But if they ever do Brendan Fraser's Mummy,
fuck yeah,
I will be there day one.
I tried to watch that yesterday. I was like looking for it. Is that streaming anywhere? Everyone, I want to watch The Mummy so bad. I love that movie. I love that whole series. Good stuff. Jan, fuck it. I'll even watch The Scorpion King.
Woo! Woo! Hey, that first one, it's not terrible.
No, it looks really funny, but I like that. All right, let's keep going here. 31 developers laid off as Avalanche Liverpool closes following Contraband's cancellation. This is from Jordan Midler at VGC. 31 developers have been laid off from Avalanche Liverpool as the studio confirms it has now closed. Earlier this year, Avalanche Liverpool announced that it had entered a collective consultation process as required by UK law. It has now been announced that the studio has closed and that 31 employees have been let go. A new statement posted to the firm's website on November 19th reads, "As we announced earlier this fall, we initiated a collective consultation process regarding the proposed closure of our Liverpool studio. We can now confirm that this process has concluded, that the studio is closed, and that we have parted ways with 31 people." This is the ongoing fallout of Microsoft shifting its focus away from making video games to fuck all. And as part of that process, they canceled a bunch of games, including this Contraband project that they showed off in a brief trailer that had Steely Dan music. So the only people that made any money on this is the band Steely Dan. It's the story that we keep getting over and over again now. These companies were working on a bunch of projects coming out of COVID. They reassessed, they looked around, and they're like, oh, we're scared of making games now because we just don't know how to break through the noise. And so cancel everything that is not a sure bet. And Contraband was pretty far away from that. Certainly it was less of a sure bet than something like Perfect Dark, and Perfect Dark got canceled as well. And it's in this case, this is a studio that was outside of the confines of Microsoft. So it's not like those people could go work on another project. The company had money to do this thing. That funding was cut off, and now they're left to drift in the wind. And it's right now I'm playing Sectori, Jan. That's a cool game from people that used to be at Housemarque. And it's if you like Housemarque, that is a place where you could continue to work. But if you wanted to go do your own thing, you can go make the game that you want to make, put it out on Steam. Maybe it gets noticed. Maybe it does all right. All that stuff is still true. But for a group of 31 people, I don't think it's going to be true for all 31 of them. Many of them are probably done working in games. They'll probably go on to other places.
Yeah, I wish more people were able to follow that path of Sectori, where they are in a stable enough place that they can go off and pursue a passion project or a different project that kind of speaks to them in the moment versus staying at a studio. But unfortunately, you're right. These 31 employees, high likelihood, some of them are going to completely leave this industry, and there is so much talent on the developer side, marketing side, PR side that is getting squeezed out because of all of these acquisitions that will lead to studios closing.
Last story here, just real quick. PGA Tour 2K25 is officially coming to Nintendo Switch 2. I don't remember if maybe they put some of the PGA games on the Switch 1. I don't know if they did though. But I think that Switch 2 is proving itself to be a little bit more friendly to third-party publishers, and they are seeing a little bit more success. And I think Switch 2 would be a great place for all of these sports sim games to release. It's having those games on the go makes a lot more sense to me. Yeah. And I hope that this does well so that continues to happen. And maybe we even get NHL from EA. Also worth pointing out, it's this is coming out kind of late. Aren't they going to have PGA Tour 26 next year? They didn't do one in 24, or they didn't do one they didn't do a PGA Tour 2K24. They had a 2K23, then 2K25. So I bet they're going to skip this next one as well and come back maybe late next year with a 2K27. So in the meantime, people can play this, and that's a good game. I've really, really enjoyed. I've been playing it on Steam Deck kind of off and on since it came out. And I think it'll be well received on Switch 2 as long as they get all the performance stuff correct. All right, that does it for the headlines. Let's get to the poll question from yesterday, Jan. Let me go ahead and refresh that here. Go over to posts. And, oh, you know what? YouTube, I'm going to get it done here. I'm going to refresh one more time at giantbomb/post. There we go. Okay. Are you interested in the analog 3D? Yes, no, and what is that? Were your options? Yes, I am. I've already purchased it. 24% also agree with me that they are interested in the analog 3D. Then 28% say, what is that? Which is fair. I get it. And even when you find out what it is, you're like, what's the Nintendo 64? I get it. Then 47% said no. I think this is one of those things where it's like, there's enough people who are so interested in it. It makes up for the fact that this is not for everybody, right? It's a niche product. And if you're in that niche, it is something you got to have. And I pre-ordered it. So yeah, that defines me exactly. And when you see more of it, Jan, is there like any interest in like, oh, this is the way I'll check out the N64 or is that like, no, I have 50 ways to have checked out the N64. If I haven't done it by now, it would be crazy to spend $250 to play those games.
Yeah, Grubb, when I have the ability to like pick up, I don't know, a PSP in a drawer somewhere that could run an N64 game, I think I'll just go with the novelty of running an N64 game on like an old Kindle tablet I got for free.
Yep, my Superstation is also coming, the PlayStation sort of version of this from another company. Looking forward to getting that as well. I'm just a sicko though. All right, we have a new poll question. We'll get to that in a second. You know what? On this show, let's actually do that right now. Have you ever purchased in-game currency for someone as a gift? Yes or no? Curious to see like what people say about this one. I don't know if I have, although I definitely have. Like, I've had nieces and nephews in my life where I guess that would have made sense. I'm like, I'll just get you a Link Between Worlds instead. I don't know. So we'll see. We'll get the results of that. Talk about it on Giant Bomb on Game S Mornings tomorrow. Speaking of Giant Bomb, Jan, what do we have happening?
We got voicemail dump truck popping off 30 minutes later than the scheduled time. Special guest Lisa Wallen is joining us there after the voicemail dump truck today. We have a Discord town hall for all of our premium members. Go hang out on the Discord. I will be answering all your hottest Qs and Ps. I don't know if that's the right thing to say. And then we will also have another episode of Game S Mornings popping off tomorrow as well as us playing Just Dance for UPF because y'all voted for it on DekuDeals.com/giantbomb.
I'm looking up what do the P's and Q's refer to?
Hey,
pints and courts. Mind your pints and courts.
Okay, sure. Hey, I mentioned earlier that there's the likelihood of some type of elected politician listening to any bit of Giant Bomb programming. Kat Abghazaleh, let's get you on the dump truck.
She would be perfect on there. That would rule. I wanted to introduce her to Dan Reichert and Mike Minotti. That would be a nightmare for everybody.
That's another episode Dan and Mike maybe shouldn't be on.
Let's make it happen. All right. Let's see here. Anything else that we need to do? Anything else we need to tell the folks about? Go help out with the wiki.
Yes. Go help Chuck. Chuck is working very hard. He's a very stressed out man. He won't tell us, but this motherfucker's stressed out. Help him out.
Yep. Help him with that. The site is going to be frozen for like the first week of December as we get ready to launch the new site. So keep that in mind. Also, if you're listening to this and you've not logged, if you're like, I'm just listening to the podcast and I used to have a Giant Bomb account, I don't know what happened to it. Log in, sign in, go make that happen before the end of this month. Otherwise, your account is going to be lost. Who knows? Maybe you're going to want that back. Please go sign in before that moment and before we launch the new site. And so that you can just join us as we hit the ground running. The new site's going to be awesome. You're going to want to be a part of it.
If you have not participated in the premium beta of Enormous Explosive, let me tell y'all, from using it on the back end publishing side, day and night, in terms of ease of access and ability to get stuff going. Also, Chuck has done a bunch of cool, neat little things on the website as well that you should check out. Shouts out to Chuck, everyone.
Yep. We fuck with Chuck. All right. I fuck with all of you as well. Thanks for watching and listening. Jan, thanks so much for spending today talking with me about video games, man. I really appreciate it.
It's the best way to start a Thursday.
You're all the best audience in gaming. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself. Goodbye.